Why modern men struggle, the hidden crisis of masculinity today. All right, take a moment to observe your surroundings. You might sense that something feels slightly off. Many men today don't resemble the strong, confident, and grounded men from previous generations. Instead, you're more likely to encounter hesitation, emotional sensitivity, and reluctance when it comes to embracing their authentic, healthy masculinity. This raises an important question: are men becoming more feminine? If so, why is this shift occurring, and what does it mean for both men and women? If you're new here, my name is Anna Jen Sun, and I specialize in helping good-hearted men like you understand modern women better so you can find, attract, and keep a partner who truly values you. Welcome to Just the Tip. Now, let's dive into the topic. Unfortunately, fourth-wave feminism has fostered a negative attitude toward men and masculinity in some cases, often leaving men feeling diminished or stripped of their sense of identity as men. This isn't just harmful to men, it affects women and society as a whole. By the way, if you're interested in exploring men's psychology and masculinity further, there's a wealth of helpful information available through the Center for Male Psychology, no connection to me personally. Let's break this down into 3 key areas. First, the stigma surrounding masculinity. For years, the prevailing narrative has been clear: masculinity is problematic. Men are too aggressive, they need to be softer, and phrases like toxic masculinity have become commonplace. When you're constantly told that being a man is somehow wrong, you may begin to reject the very traits that make you strong, capable, and attractive. The result? Men who hesitate to lead, avoid taking risks, or shy away from standing up for themselves because they fear being labeled as controlling, toxic, or otherwise flawed. For example, imagine a man who naturally takes charge during a date but holds back because he's worried his date might perceive him as overly dominant. Or consider someone who wants to set boundaries but refrains out of fear of appearing aggressive. These behaviors often lead to weak, passive men who are easily manipulated or controlled, attracting partners who aren't truly right for them, or worse, failing to attract anyone at all. Over time, this can breed resentment and bitterness. But here's the truth: society thrives when strong, confident men step into their roles, and more importantly, you'll feel a deeper sense of self-respect when you embrace your natural, healthy masculinity. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to identify where you've been conditioned to suppress your innate masculine traits and start reclaiming them. Practice assertiveness in small ways, make decisions without seeking approval, establish boundaries, and take control of your life with confidence. Leadership begins within. Second, the overemphasis on emotions over action. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having feelings. Emotions are a natural part of being human. However, modern men are increasingly encouraged to dwell on their emotions and talk about them endlessly rather than taking meaningful action. You've probably seen this play out: someone feels sad, so instead of addressing the root cause of their sadness, they spiral into self-pity. Or someone feels anxious, so instead of confronting their fears, they retreat and avoid the situation altogether. Society tells us it's okay to express our emotions, but there's a difference between processing feelings constructively and wallowing in them. Think about it this way: if your great-grandfather faced stress, he didn't spend hours venting or analyzing his emotions like many people do today. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work, building something tangible to improve his circumstances. In contrast, many modern men spend more time discussing their struggles online or journaling about their feelings than actually taking steps to resolve their challenges. Here's a reminder: when a woman feels like she needs to parent her partner in a relationship, her attraction tends to fade. Emotional dependency can undermine romantic chemistry. Your mission, if you're ready to take it on, is to strike a balance between acknowledging your emotions and taking decisive action. When you're feeling low, instead of getting stuck in rumination, focus on completing one productive task. Go for a workout, start a new project, or take even a small step toward a larger goal. Action breeds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Finally, the decline of traditional male archetypes. Consider the masculine figures you may have admired during your upbringing. These could be your father, grandfathers, or even male characters from films and television shows. They often embodied strength, took on responsibilities without complaint, and were the kind of men that the leading female characters found irresistible. However, in today's world, many young men are growing up without strong role models, or they are influenced by portrayals of weak masculinity. Modern cinema frequently diminishes male characters while elevating the status of strong female characters. Perhaps you were raised in a household where your father was absent, or even if he was present, he may have been passive or overshadowed by a more dominant mother, leading him to relinquish his role as a man just to maintain harmony. Society, including schools, media, and cultural norms, often promotes the notion that masculinity is inherently toxic, causing men to question their natural instincts. Without a strong masculine presence to guide them, many young men may adopt the softer traits that society praises or, conversely, gravitate towards extreme and sometimes genuinely toxic masculine figures. Take Andrew Tate, for instance. Regardless of your opinion about him, his popularity stems from his unapologetic embrace of masculinity and his indifference to public opinion. This resonates with many young men who wish to feel the same way. For example, consider a boy raised by a single mother, perhaps a wonderful single mother, who has never had a strong, emotionally healthy male figure in his life. He grows up seeing men depicted in the media as either villains or fools, and he lacks guidance on how to be assertive, take risks, or lead in a respectful manner. Instead, he learns to be overly agreeable, avoid conflict, and seek validation from others, particularly women. Now, think about a young man whose father was physically present but emotionally absent, a passive individual who allowed life to unfold without taking charge. This son may come to believe that such passivity is normal. When faced with challenges, he might hesitate, overthink, and look for someone else to make difficult decisions for him, often seeking a maternal figure to guide him. Without healthy, strong role models, masculinity becomes something that must be rediscovered rather than something that develops naturally. It's important to recognize that this situation is not your fault. You cannot know what you were never taught. If you choose to accept this challenge, your task is to actively seek out and learn from strong, healthy male role models. This could involve reading or listening to biographies of great men, following mentors who exemplify healthy masculinity, and surrounding yourself with inspiring men who encourage you to improve. Additionally, if you want to foster positive relationships with women, it's wise to avoid negative influences who thrive on rage and conflict. Moreover, the comfort culture prevalent today is contributing to a softness in men. Modern life offers unparalleled convenience, food is readily available, entertainment is constant, and genuine struggles are rare. However, true growth occurs outside of your comfort zone. Regardless of how long humanity has existed, our ancestors had to hunt, fight, and survive. In contrast, today, it's all too easy to spend an entire day on the couch, ordering takeout, binge-watching Netflix, and avoiding any real challenges. When there is no struggle, there is no growth. For instance, instead of hitting the gym, some young men may choose to stay indoors, engrossed in video games, or they might spend hours scrolling through social media instead of developing new skills. The outcome of this lifestyle is weak bodies, weak minds, and ultimately, weak men. So, if you are ready to take action, I encourage you to watch my video on the 15 masculine activities and start incorporating one of them into your routine at a time until you feel a sense of mastery or a renewed sense of manhood. Remember, this journey is about your personal growth and not about anyone else's expectations. It's essential to recognize that how you feel about confrontation plays a significant role in your interactions. In the past, men often stood firm in their beliefs and faced conflicts head-on. However, many now tend to shy away from disagreements, which is understandable. Perhaps you found yourself in a situation where someone disrespected you, yet instead of addressing it, you chose to let it go. For instance, maybe a woman took advantage of your kindness and you remained silent out of fear of losing her. Or consider a scenario where a colleague embarrassed you during a meeting and you laughed it off to mask your discomfort. You might even convince yourself that this is a sign of spiritual maturity or being the bigger person, but deep down, you know you've let yourself down. That realization can sting. It's important to understand that this behavior is not a sign of strength, rather, it reflects a lack of confidence. True strength lies in how you handle conflict. Real men, yes, I'm using that term intentionally, approach disagreements with assurance rather than avoidance. This doesn't mean you should respond with anger. Instead, a calm and assertive reply, accompanied by steady eye contact, can be far more effective. When you allow others to walk all over you, you send a message that you are not a leader but a follower. Regardless of what society may suggest, leaders tend to attract the kind of women you desire far more than followers do. For example, imagine you're out on a date, and another man openly disrespects you with a rude comment or tries to assert dominance in front of your date. If you choose to ignore it or laugh it off awkwardly, she will notice, and her respect for you may diminish, even if she doesn't show it. Conversely, if you stand up for yourself, you reinforce your self-worth. Similarly, at work, if your boss assigns you extra tasks at the last minute, tasks that aren't even part of your responsibilities, and you simply nod in acceptance, you're again signaling that you don't advocate for yourself. Women and the world at large respect men who recognize their value and assert it. If you fail to do so, you will always find yourself at the mercy of those who do. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to assert yourself. This week, try setting a boundary, saying no to an unreasonable request, or calmly confronting someone who disrespects you. Remember, the goal is not to be aggressive but to cultivate self-respect. Now, let's discuss the trend of passive dating behavior. I can recall a time when men understood the importance of pursuing women with confidence without coming across as overly eager. Nowadays, however, many men seem to wait for women to make the first move. Here's the crucial point: the type of woman you desire does not need to chase after men. You might find yourself in a situation where you're constantly texting a woman, hesitant to ask her out, hoping she will take the initiative instead. Worse yet, you might be settling for the minimal attention she offers, rather than demanding the respect you deserve. The women you want are not impressed by passive or weak behavior, they seek leaders, not men who plead for attention. If you're waiting for her to express interest, you're already at a disadvantage. For instance, you might text her every day, trying to keep the conversation alive, but she only responds with short, uninterested replies. Instead of taking the hint and moving on, you persist, hoping she will suddenly recognize your worth. Meanwhile, the man who confidently asks her out and makes plans without hesitation is the one who captures her interest. Remember, you can be that guy. Or perhaps you find yourself waiting for her to take the lead, which only reinforces the cycle of passivity. When it comes to dating, it's essential to take the reins and lead the way. Many men mistakenly believe they are being respectful by letting the woman make the first move or decide when to meet. However, this approach can come across as indecisive and lacking confidence. Women want a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to go after it. So, take charge and ask her out directly, no texting marathons or waiting for her to make the first move. Confident, intentional action is key. On a similar note, it's crucial to recognize that many men today have become too dependent on others. They rely on their parents, society, or handouts instead of taking control of their lives. While it's true that the current environment can be challenging for men, it's essential to focus on what you can control. Instead of blaming others for your failures or waiting for someone to give you what you want, take ownership of your life. Identify one key area where you've been overly dependent and start figuring things out for yourself today. Another critical aspect of being a man is physical strength. It's not about body shaming or trying to become a bodybuilder, it's about being healthy and fit. Men used to pride themselves on being physically strong, but nowadays, many have become weaker than their grandfathers. This lack of physical strength can also reflect a lack of discipline, emotional and mental weakness. Imagine being in a situation where you need to protect someone, but you're out of shape and incapable of handling it. It's not just embarrassing, it's potentially dangerous. Women are biologically wired to be attracted to capable, strong men, so it's essential to prioritize your health and fitness. Lastly, a man must be self-sufficient and able to take care of himself. This means being able to cook, fix things, and handle his life without relying on others. Unfortunately, many modern men have lost this sense of independence and can't care for themselves without relying on others. It's time to take responsibility for your life and become the capable, strong man you were meant to be. In today's world, many men find themselves in a situation where they rely heavily on their mothers for guidance in everyday tasks. For instance, you might be an adult man who still calls your mom to ask how to boil an egg, or perhaps you struggle to change a flat tire on an old vehicle without reaching out to roadside assistance. Even more concerning is the fact that your idea of cooking might simply involve ordering takeout every night, as you never took the time to learn how to prepare even a single basic meal. Traditionally, cooking has been viewed as a feminine activity, but the ability to care for oneself is a vital masculine trait. Moreover, having a signature dish that you can prepare to impress a potential partner can be quite beneficial. Now, let's consider this from a woman's perspective. She is likely searching for a partner who can lead, provide for her, and navigate the challenges of life. Instead, she may encounter a man who appears helpless, which is not an attractive quality. Women tend to respect men who are capable of handling various tasks around the house and managing their finances wisely. It's important to note that I'm not suggesting you need to be wealthy, but rather that you should be able to manage your life independently without needing constant assistance. If you struggle to take care of yourself, how can you expect to support others, perhaps even a family in the future? Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to acquire at least one practical skill that enhances your independence. This could involve learning how to cook a meal from scratch, fixing something in your home, or mastering basic car maintenance for older vehicles. Being competent in these areas is undeniably attractive. Before I share the 10th point, which is quite common, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude. If you find this video helpful, please consider liking it, sharing it with someone who might benefit, and subscribing. Thank you for being here, your presence is appreciated. Now, let's move on to the 10th point, the tendency towards instant gratification. In today's society, both men and women desire immediate results. In fact, this desire for quick success is prevalent among everyone. While women respect success, many do not want to put in the necessary effort to achieve it. True growth and fulfillment often lie outside of our comfort zones. The influence of social media, fast food, and instant online entertainment has conditioned many men to expect quick rewards without putting in the hard work. However, genuine masculinity is forged through struggle, discipline, and patience. For example, you might see a man with an impressive physique and instead of acknowledging the effort he put in, you might complain about his genetics. Similarly, when you observe a successful individual, rather than learning from their journey, you might dismiss their achievements as mere luck. These kinds of mindsets undermine masculinity, they are excuses rather than truths. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to commit to a goal that requires delayed gratification, whether that's in fitness, acquiring a new skill, or achieving financial growth. Invest the effort now and trust the process, rather than seeking shortcuts. So, are men becoming more feminine? In some respects, yes, and this shift can have detrimental effects, making it easier for women to manipulate men and compelling those who are strong to embrace their masculine energy to take care of themselves. Society has encouraged men to weaken themselves, suppress their masculinity, avoid challenges, and embrace a softer approach. However, the reality is that the women you desire do not seek out weak men. The world does not respect weakness, and deep down, you may not respect yourself when you feel weak. It's time to reclaim your authentic and healthy masculinity. How can you do this? By taking control of your life. Get strong, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Stop waiting for life to unfold and start taking proactive steps. Avoiding conflict is not the answer, instead, learn to stand your ground. Rather than chasing comfort, embrace the struggles that life presents. The world needs strong, capable men. In today's world, there is a pressing need for strong, capable men who can lead, protect, and build. These qualities are essential not only for the benefit of society but also for your personal growth and fulfillment. The journey towards becoming such a man begins with you, and it starts right now. So, I encourage you to reflect on the suggestions provided and consider which ones you will actively pursue today. Please share your commitment by leaving a comment below. If you're looking for guidance on how to embark on this transformative journey, I recommend my Wake Up to Love program. However, it's important to note that this program will only be effective if you are willing to put in the necessary effort, and there is indeed a lot of work to be done. For more details and to determine if this program is the right fit for you, feel free to scan the QR code provided. Remember to be kind to yourself during this process. It's crucial to understand that you may not have been taught certain things in the past, but you have the power to change the trajectory of your life. You can make the remainder of your life the best it can be. Society is counting on you, and I have faith in your potential. I am proud of the steps you are taking. May you be blessed on this journey.